Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Hindu analysis of 7th February 2024. Now, what are the articles that we are going to cover today? The first article that we have chosen is Understanding the Delimitation Exercise. So we shall see, we have already talked about census being indefinitely delayed. And when tomorrow or whenever the census is going to happen, the government may consider the delimitation exercise. And there are some problems when it comes to the representation of South Indian states and the smaller states. Their seats may come down. So we shall see what are these issues and how it can be tackled and what are the best international practices in these scenarios. Number 2, a travesty. This is an editorial that has come today. And let me tell you, if you don't read this article also, and if you were, I would say, regular in the newspaper sessions, you would know we have discussed this yesterday itself. This is the topic regarding the Chandigarh mayoral polls. So, remember everyone, those who have been regular in the newspaper sessions, they will understand one thing very easily, that with every day, the time of reading the newspaper should slightly keep on coming down. Why does it come down? If I have started reading the newspaper today for the first time, I have to read each and every article because I have no background of reading that. But if I have been reading newspaper on a consistent basis, what happens is we are continuously reading and we know, oh, I read this yesterday only. So for example, in today's newspaper, you don't have to read this editorial because if anyone would have covered, they would have covered the Chandigarh mayoral polls yesterday only. Similarly, I can tell you in today's newspaper, there is a plethora of articles which we have covered in the last 7 days. For example, Honorable Home Minister Mr. Amit Shah has talked about that the Myanmar border would be fenced. Similarly, UCC, we talked about that. The bill has been tabled in Uttarakhand. This is in page number 1. Similarly, in the inside page, there is a talk about that UP also may bring it. There is a talk about UCC coming in UP. I think the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister is saying that whenever the time is correct, we shall be bringing it. Similarly, inside there is another article on Maldives. We don't have to read that because we have been reading about Maldives so much. So if you look here, 4 articles and this one being the 5th, 5 articles of today's newspaper you can easily ignore if you would have done the newspaper in the last 7 days. Just last 7 days. I'm not going beyond that also. There is another article inside about Manrega. So that also we have covered in the last 7 days. So I'm only asking you people, if you be consistent every day, slowly and slowly, because a lot of students keep on writing mails to us that, sir, newspaper reading takes a lot of time. That will always take if you are not regular in the newspaper sessions. If you are regular, invariably the time would start coming down. And then there would be a point where you will always know the background of most of these articles. Moving to the third one, the severe erosion of fiscal federalism. Now, let me tell you, this and this 5th article, I'll not consider the 5th article. The 5th article is regarding Kerala, as you can see. And these two are concerned with the same thing. Kerala has gone to the Supreme Court arguing that the central government is bringing down the money, the grant that it was being given. And they are arguing against this. Against the Kerala's state government's stand, the central government is saying in Supreme Court that, see, Kerala is one of the financially most unhealthy state. So your 3rd article and the 5th article are basically concerning with the same topic. Of course, the two different sides of view. One side of the view is of the Kerala's government, another view is of the center. Let me tell you, this is a very big topic which will keep on coming in our coming days, because now the argument has only begun in Supreme Court. So a lot of plethora of cases, a lot of ideas would come. The debate would happen. So every day we would keep on hearing something on this. There is an editorial in between, union government's reins on financial transfers to states. So clearly it seems today's newspaper is full of topics related to federalism, the state-center relations, and specifically money is at the crux, or money is at the core here. Your sixth article for the day, leave us out of your conflict. Naga organization tells Meitei and Kuki-Zo communities. Now again, I took this. If you have not read in the last 7 days, I have not covered it. But if you would be knowing about the newspapers since May, this Manipur dispute is dominating the Indian newspapers for a very, very lengthy period. So invariably you would be knowing about these communities. So here we'll see what Nagas are saying. Seventh topic for the day, Lok Sabha passes anti-cheating bill. It's a bill which has been passed by Lok Sabha. When Rajya Sabha passes it, it will become an act, and it will give you 1 or 2 points specifically for your any chapter on education. So we'll consider this also. And the last topic for the day is, you can see, Rajya Sabha passes bills to include particularly vulnerable tribal groups of Odisha and Andhra Pradesh in scheduled tribe lists. I have put it under the prelims bites because we will see which are these tribes. Tomorrow the question might be, this tribe belongs to which of the state of India? Or we should also know what exactly are the particularly vulnerable tribal groups, what they were called earlier, which committee had identified them, and how come they got this name. So these are certain points that we'll consider under the prelims bites. So let's, without wasting the time, start with the first topic of the day. As you all can see, understanding the delimitation exercise. Certain questions here. What exactly is this exercise? That's your question number 1. Number 2, from polity's perspective, what are the constitutional provisions that deal with this particular issue or delimitation? Third, why till now we have frozen the number of seats according to the 1971 census? Fourth question, if we are conducting a fresh exercise, does it go against the federal principle? Certain states getting advantage over the others. As I said, certain states, the bigger states, or rather I would say the more populous states like UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, they are going to get some benefit at the cost of mostly the South Indian states and the smaller states like Himachal Pradesh, even the states of Northeast, they would have some disadvantage. In this only, the fifth point we shall also see is what are the international practices here. Now, before I start this topic, let me show you this. I'll change the pen color. This graph which is shown over here, I'll just show you. I have brought this graph here also. This gives us an idea about 2 ways that this delimitation can be done and how there are advantage or disadvantage to different states. So we shall see that also. So let us change the pen color and start with the first one. The first topic, what exactly do you understand by delimitation? Now, many of you in polity must have studied that this is basically a process in which we fix the number of seats as well as the boundaries of constituencies in every state both for Lok Sabha as well as for the Assembly. Along with this, in delimitation, we also reserve the seats for scheduled castes plus scheduled tribes. So we do determine which all seats would be reserved for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes also at this point of time. So this basically is done under the delimitation. Now, again, if those who would have covered the last few days articles, newspaper, if you remember, we were talking about that in the budget, there is a high-powered committee which has been suggested by Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, and that high-powered committee will look into the demographic changes that have happened specifically in the border areas. If you all remember, there I had talked to you about the history of census, and we had also talked about why the census was not done in 2021. You all will remember COVID. And after that also, it has been constantly been delayed. So maybe the government would conduct a census after 2026 and or 24, whichever. We don't exactly know the dates of this. And then the seats, the boundaries, fixing of the seats, for example, state-wise. Which state gets how many seats? Similarly, what is the number of the scheduled commission or your scheduled caste and scheduled tribes? How many seats would be reserved for them? All this will be seen. Now, have we done delimitation before? Yes, we have done this. This delimitation process is carried out by a delimitation commission. Who sets this? This is set up by an act of parliament. So parliament would pass a law and then this delimitation commission would be set up. In the past, we have used 3 census, 51, 61 and 71 census to fix these number of seats. Now everyone, you can see what we are talking about here is that we have used 3 census reports. And for all of you, what you should observe is that after 1971, even though census have been done in 81, 91, 2001, 2011, 4 more census have happened. But we have been using the data of 71 itself. That's why if I show you my previous slide, I have said, question number 3 is, why were the seats frozen as per the 1971 census? Why we have not changed that? Why we have not chosen that or changed that? So this answer we need to get. So I hope everybody is clear about the census. The delimitation. What exactly is delimitation? In a nutshell, it's the process of fixing the number of seats along with the boundaries of the constituencies plus that reservation of the number of reserved seats for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. All this is determined by a process known as delimitation process carried out by a body known as delimitation commission, which is formed by an act of parliament which till date has used only 3 data, 51, 61, 71 census. And for the last many years, 71 census data are being used. Now that's your first point. Moving ahead. And I'll not come to this slide, I'll take extra slide here. Now, we said, what is the constitution talking about this? Now here, you might know certain articles, you might not know certain articles. If you do not know, try to remember them. For example, if you look at Article 82 and if you look at Article 170. So Article 82 of the Constitution, this provides that how many seats would be there in Lok Sabha. And 170 does the same for state legislative assemblies. Not only this, these two articles also talk about the territorial adjustments. That means the boundaries of the constituencies, they slightly move here or there. Some of you who are politically well aware would know that after many elections, you will see sometimes it would be that in those days this was part of that constituency, this area was a part of this constituency, but after the delimitation, this area has moved into that, a new constituency has been formed. Most of you might be voting already, most of you would be above 18 years of age, you would be knowing this. Or if you don't know, ask your parents. All the time, this keeps on happening. So, this delimitation, which is being done, is mainly because of the fact that in democracy, ultimately the government is by the people. And that's why you have to keep on looking at this numbers, who all would be voting and everything. Now, as you can see, one thing I must say here, that the SC/ST seats, they were determined according to the 2001 census. And boundaries of the constituencies have kept on changing. But the important thing is, boundaries may have changed. This did not without alteration in number of seats. So, for again, those who know, I'll tell you. Lok Sabha, UP has 80 seats. That has remained like that only. Bihar has 40 seats. Maharashtra has 48 seats. Let us take a smaller example. Pondicherry has 1 seat. Delhi has 7 seats. Even in Vidhan Sabhas, state legislatives, if you talk about, Bihar has 243 seats. Let us take another example. Telangana has 119 constituencies. It's a most recently formed state of our country. Delhi has 70 seats. So this number has remained constant. What has changed is the boundaries. Earlier, maybe a constituency might have been like this. Now, it has changed like this. So boundaries may keep on changing, but then the number of seats have remained consistent. Am I clear? Now, what is the present problem? The problem is, if normally we see no problems, that is, delimitation is going to happen, we'll again use the 1971 census and slight change within the boundaries would be there, but the number of seats would remain consistent. That is, let me write 1 or 2 more states here, because this will help us later. Let's take example of Kerala. 20 seats here, 140 seats here. Tamil Nadu, let's say 39 seats. So like this is the numbers. So if normal delimitation would be happening, this number would have remained consistent, no problems. But then, as you all know, from 1971 and now we are in 2024, the population of our country has had I don't want to use this word explosion, because in the last few years and at least for the last 1 or 2 decades, we have slightly controlled it. But even then, if you look at the population in 71 and if you look at the population in 2024, there is a big jump. And in this big jump, what we find is that this jump is asymmetrical. Why is it asymmetrical? If you look at the North Indian states, like Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, in these places, there has been a big jump. On the other hand, states like Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, and we'll take Telangana also here, and even Tamil Nadu, Now we should applaud all these 5 states, and even there are other states also, but these 5 states, the bigger states of South India, and all the 5 states of South India, they controlled the population. Please understand, this is a great matter of fact. Again, we studied demographic profiles earlier also. If you remember, in the last 7 days only, I have taught you one article where they are saying that the TFR has gone down below 2.1 for the whole country. And still there are 5 states, if you all remember, there are 5 states in that article I had taught you. Which are those 5 states? Bihar, UP, Meghalaya, Manipur and Jharkhand. These are the 5 states where TFR is still above 2.1. So you all can see, when you will see the TFR of these states, they have brought it even lower than 1.5. They have brought the population, it has stabilized to a great extent. Now when you do the delimitation on the basis of a new census, all of you imagine this, till the time you were using the 1971 census, you had kept the number constant. But now when you use the new census where the new population data would be taken, invariably these states which have a larger population, they would see an increment in their number of seats. Whereas these states, they would see that their number of seats have gone down. Now, everybody, you can understand, this is like punishing these good states who have maintained, who have reduced the population, have not let the population explosion happen in their states, and they would get penalized for doing something which everybody of us should have done. Of course, again, I'm not saying the other states have not done good. Everybody is trying to decrease. They have tried to decrease within their social economic parameters, the constraints that every state has. They all have done good. But these people are the brilliant students of the class who do the newspaper reading every day. These are those students who do newspaper reading once or twice in the week. So now you people tell me who should clear the UPSC exam. But here they are being penalized. Jokes apart, let us come back. So now here there are 2 options in this article which is being talked about. Let me come to this. See here. Yeah, I'll change the pen color and I'll take blue. Okay. You can see here there is one table and this is another table. The first table says that if you keep the seats to 543 only. In Lok Sabha, we have 543 constituencies, and let us have this 543 only in future also. If that is done, UP, for example, from 80 goes to 91. Bihar, from example, 40 goes to 50. Rajasthan, from 25 goes to 31. Madhya Pradesh, from 29 goes to 33. They are having the advantage. On the other hand, look at the South Indian states. Kerala from 20 goes to 12. Karnataka from 28 goes to 26. Even if you take some examples like Punjab from 13 to 12. Andhra Pradesh plus Telangana from 42 till 34. Tamil Nadu from 39 to 31. So clearly, all of you can see, if the seats are as they are and the new delimitation happens based on the new census, there is a probability that the bigger states, the North Indian states, their numbers in case of everyone is increasing, and in the case of the smaller states and the South Indian states, all these states, their number goes down. That's one. Another thing is, if we make this 543 into 848, that is, instead of 543 constituencies, let's have 848 constituencies, and this is based on projected population of 2026. Again, you will see UP from 80 jumps to 143, Bihar from 40 jumps to 79, On the other hand, Tamil Nadu from 39 goes to 49. Kerala from 20 remains at 20 only. So if you look at this table also, what it shows is that the jump for the states of North India would be very, very big. And for the states which have controlled the population, either the jump is almost negligible, hardly a 10-seat jump, or it would remain constant. So clearly, if I make a deduction here, based on this table, if I am to make a deduction, in both the scenarios, please remember, those who can remember these numbers, great. Those who cannot remember, please remember this conclusion of mine. This is the thing that you have to take out of this article. In both the scenarios, South Indian states plus certain North Indian states, usually the smaller ones like Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, plus Northeast, they are having a disadvantage. On the other hand, let me use the yellow. You all can see states like UP, Bihar, MP, Rajasthan, they are having an advantage in terms of their seats. In terms of the number of seats, they all are going to see a big jump. Now all of you tell me, don't we all believe that if this is the case, this is basically against the whole concept of federalism, and invariably it leads to disenchantment, specifically amongst the South Indian states. See, the people from South India, they would feel that rather than being rewarded, they are being punished. They control the population, and here they are being punished for that. So hopefully you all understand why we had been using the 1971 census till now. We had been using the 1971 census because that way the numbers, population numbers were fixed, and the South Indian states or these states do not get punished for doing something that was good. Because they controlled population, it should not be that they are having a disadvantage for that thing. So I hope this is clear to you. If I go back to my first slide, hopefully by now you all understand what is delimitation. You are understanding what are the constitutional provisions that deal with it. We now understand why the seats have been, frozen according to the 71 census. And we also understand the question that if there is a fresh exercise, this will go against the federal principle, that is giving the advantage to certain states over the others. So now let us come to what exactly is the international practices. Now all of you, why should you remember about the international practices? In your paper 2, you have a topic in GS General Studies paper 2, you have a topic of comparison of the constitutions of India with many other nations. So if we compare this, for example, US, they are also federation. You all know in House of Representatives, which is like our Lok Sabha, they have kept this number of seats fixed at 435 since 1913. Now some of you may say that their population is stabilized, maybe. No. In US also, the population has gone down 4 times between 1911 to 2023. If you don't want to put it 4 times, you can put it 3.5 times. That's a better this thing. So what they do is, they have carried out, redistribution among different states after every census. And for this, they use a phenomena, or they use a method known as method of equal proportion. So if you use this particular method, what happens is there is neither a significant gain, neither a significant loss for any of the states. So for example, based on their 2020 census, almost 37 states had no change in their number of constituencies. And if at all there was any change in states like Texas, it was gain of 2 seats. 5 states had a gain of 1 seat. 7 states had a gain of, had a loss of 1 seat. So you can see 6 states gained 7 seats, 7 states lost 1 each. Hardly a up and down of 1 or 2. Similarly, if you talk about EU, according to this article, EU, they use a method which is known as digressive proportionality. Now, European Union, if you all remember, in the last few days, I covered one article that the NATO has accepted, EU has accepted for more funds for Ukraine. And there I had told you that EU has certain number of nations. Everyone, before I tell you the number, can you right now tell me how many members are there in EU? Before I get to the next and I tell you exact number, I'll give you 1 minute. Let us say there are X number of states in EU. So what they do is, EU's parliament has 720 members. And it is divided amongst all these X nations on the basis of digressive proportionality. What happens here is, everybody does not get equal number. But then smaller subdivisions, they get more seats compared to bigger ones. So I'll give you one example. In this article it is mentioned, if you take example of Denmark, its population is 60 lakh, it's given 15 seats. That means per 4 lakh people, 1 seat. On the other hand, you see Germany has a population of 8.3 crore, has seats that is 96. That means per 8.6 lakh, there are 1 seats. So clearly, this way what happens is that even though this is a smaller country, gets the smaller number of seats, Germany is a bigger country, gets a bigger number of seats, but then the digressive proportionality applies that their per capita or per person the representation is better for the smaller countries. Hopefully by now you all would have already written how many nations are in EU. Let me tell you, there are 27 nations in EU. And let me ask you one extra question. Which was the last country which joined EU? Do answer that. Everyone, in your view, what is the ideal solution to this problem? What should we do? Because see, in this article they have given an ideal solution. But we should not always be limited by the solutions given in the article only. Think something out of the box. Do post it. You people are the voters of the country. Tell me, here they are suggesting, in this article it is being suggested that let 543 MPs of Lok Sabha be as it is. Do not tamper with that. The point of the author here is that 543 MPs, they mainly work on union list like defense, external affairs, etc., etc. And the author is saying most of the work of, I would say, schemes, central government is done by the state government. So the author is saying, let us keep it as it is. So this way we will be able to respect the federal principle. That is, no certain number of states would be dominating the other ones. But at the same time, remember, there is something called democratic principles also. Think about this. If UP has only 80 number of seats, and let's say UP's population is 20 crore, for a second imagine, that means almost for every 25 lakh people, there is only one MP. And let's say Kerala has 20 MPs and has got the population of 3 crore. That means for every 15 lakh people, there is one MP. So, democratic principles do get affected here because UP per person, the MP number is less. In Kerala, that is higher. So, what should we do? The author is suggesting increase the number of MLAs in every state. This way, the people will get representation in their states according to the current population. Of course, the author again says one more point, that do not change number of Rajya Sabha seats. Do not change this. But if we change the MLAs or the number of MLAs, invariably, every day the common man has to more or less have more work with the MLAs. Thus, federal principles are also respected, democratic principles are also respected, and this way, both we get a solution also without having or without creating a major problem. With that, the first topic is done. Let us move to the second one. Let me tell you, this is an article that I covered yesterday only. Read this entire. If you leave this also, those who attended yesterday's topic, I told you today's newspaper has almost 5 articles that we have covered in the last few days. And just I'm showing you one example. See, this yesterday I covered. I had covered, this is a mockery of democracy. Mr. Chandrachud, our Honorable Chief Justice of India, was saying what had happened in Chandigarh is a murder of democracy. This is not the way to conduct the election. And he totally, was against what had happened. And he says the great stabilizing force in the country is the purity of the election process. What is happening here? So he had raised these certain queries. Leave this editorial of today's, which had come in paper 6, if you have read what we did yesterday. Moving ahead. Page number 7, in polity, the severe erosion of fiscal federalism. Please understand, this same topic, page number 5, Kerala is one of the most financially unhealthy states in country. These two are basically interlinked article. This side, the author, he is an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India, is basically taking more of the side of Kerala's government. The second article which I showed you is more about the side of the central government. Now let us understand, if you all are reading newspapers, you would know that tomorrow the Kerala government led by their chief minister is holding a protest against the center. Why the protest? Because they are accusing the center of just a second, I'll cut this, placing a financial embargo on Kerala. They are saying that the funds are not there. They are, central government is not allowing us to have independence when it comes to our use of finances. And for this, Kerala has already gone in Supreme Court, arguing that net borrowing ceiling violates Article 293 of the Constitution. Just give me 1 second. Everyone, you can see this is Kerala is the most financially unhealthy states in the country. This is the words of centre, and this is what they have spoken in the, I would say, your Supreme Court. So please understand, this is with regards to the matter which is going on in the Supreme Court. Kerala has taken this matter over there. Argument of Kerala that, see, centre is basically violating Article 293 of the Constitution by imposing something known as net borrowing ceiling. So everyone, we need to understand what exactly is this. So the NBC, this limits the borrowings. Borrowings means whatever a state is borrowing. So borrowings of the states from any source, in fact I would write from all sources, including open market borrowings. Now, first of all, understand, in this clearly, any state governments, their borrowings would be limited if they want to borrow from open market borrowings. Now, how do we come up to this ceiling? What is used to decide what is a ceiling? That is NBC. So basically, centre has decided to deduct liabilities from public account of the states to come to this NBC. Along with this, centre is also looking at borrowings from any state-owned enterprise. Now here, please remember, this is very, very important from the angle of Kerala. Kerala is very unhappy that how could centre add borrowing which is done by their state enterprises. I'll give you an example of here of KIIFB, full form Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board. So please understand, Kerala's government is unhappy that how come centre has added this state-owned enterprises like KIIFB also in order to arrive at NBC. So again, if I come back, what is NBC? Under NBC, the central government has decided to subtract or deduct the liabilities which come from the public accounts of the state governments. Plus, they are also removing the borrowings which are done by any of these bodies. Kerala's major objection is with regards to this. Now, why is Kerala objecting to this? This has to be understood. Kerala is objecting to this because Kerala's government is saying that, see, most of the infrastructural projects which are carried out in Kerala are funded by this body, and for this they take extra budgetary borrowings. Now if you add these borrowings in NBC, the state government is saying that then we will not be able to even pay the pension, we will not be able to meet the expenses of the welfare schemes. So basically the thrust of the matter is this. Kerala has gone to the Supreme Court saying that the central government is basically curtailing its rights. They have brought this net borrowing ceiling, and this number which has been brought by including the loans taken by state government enterprises is wrong. So now this article talks about, is the central government justified in doing this or they are wrong? Now, as I've said already, and let me take another slide, I've already said to you, this article is slightly, or I would say more or less, favored or favoring the state government. But as this matter has recently reached the Supreme Court, we will have to keep on looking what exactly Supreme Court says on this. But in the meantime, let us see what is the argument of the writer or the author. He mentions that there is an article, that's 293 of part 3 of the Constitution. Under this, state has to get consent of the center if they are taking any loan. If they are taking any loan, basically, if any part of previous loan is pending. So if you have already taken a loan and if you have not repaid it and you want to take another loan, you will have to take the consent of the center. Now, as I said, the author says that this thing is constitutionally suspect because Article 293 Part 3 has been imposed by the or used by the center. And author is saying that this is not correct. Here, the central government also adds one more point. The Union Finance Minister uses the 15th Finance Commission report, where the Finance Commission has talked about that governments at every level, whether that is at the central level or the state or even in the, Panchayati Raj, everywhere, they should maintain strict discipline with regards to fiscal matter. So, Finance Minister is saying that, look, even Finance Commission has said that we should have fiscal discipline. But then, the author is saying why it is suspect, because Finance Commission has not asked for inclusion of the debt of any of the state-owned enterprises. In the previous slide, we saw that in order to reach to this net borrowing ceiling, the central government is also adding the money borrowed by Kerala Infrastructure Investment Fund Board. Whereas the author is saying this should not be done because Finance Commission has not talked anything like this. Number 2, author is saying one more point is there. Everyone, why it is suspect? Point number 1, the author's point number 2. Author is saying that Parliament does not have power to make any legislation if the matter is related to public debt of the state. Now, everyone, why cannot the center make any law regarding the public debt of the state? Because it is under entry 43 of the state list. Now, you all understand, if it is under the state list, only the state government has the power to make any law regarding that. So, the second point that this author is writing in this article is that, see, this is not the jurisdiction of the Parliament. This should not be done. Third, according to the author, there is one more point. What is that point? State government says that the balances in the public account of the state again should not be used in NBC. And for this, state government talks about the Article 266(2), where basically it is mentioned that any fund which is not the part of consolidated fund can be brought under the public accounts. So, any money that comes through small savings, any money that comes through security deposits, any money that comes from the reserve funds, they all should be treated under this. Last but not the least, the fourth objection, everyone, the fourth objection is that Kerala, the center is accusing that Kerala is not doing good. So they are saying, see, we have already passed a law. Which is that law? Kerala Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2003. We have already passed this law in our state legislature. Under this, they are saying that Kerala is committed to bring its fiscal deficit to 3% by 25% by 2025-26. So Kerala's government is saying, see, we are already serious about this matter. You do not have to tell us. We have already done it. We have already brought it to, or we are planning to bring it to 3% by this year. And in this situation, when we are already monitoring our condition, who are you to tell us what to do or what not to do? So the Kerala's government is saying that, see, we don't need any external supervision. And let me tell you, in this article, the author points out who is monitoring? Central government. And the author is saying, look at the performance of central government. Are they themselves managing the fiscal things in a proper manner? Here, it is writing that Kerala's fiscal deficit has come down to 2.44% and its revenue deficit has come to 0.88% of the gross state GDP. Whereas, in the case of center, fiscal deficit is 5.8% for 2023-24. So the author is saying, please look at your own home. Who are you to monitor us when your own numbers are very, very poor? So in this circumstance, you do not have any right to look after us. But then everyone, you can clearly see, I'll go to this article, which is where, okay, if you see here, second side of the story is Kerala is one of the most financially unhealthy states in the country. This is the position of the center in Supreme Court. Now, yesterday, Attorney General Mr. R. Venkataramani has given a note to Supreme Court that with regards to Kerala, we have diagnosed several cracks as far as their fiscal performance is concerned. They are saying that Kerala is lacking proper management of its public finances. Center is saying we have given them a lot of money. We have given them money more than what Finance Commission, 15th Finance Commission has said. We have given them some 14,505 crore rupees for their GST compensation shortfall. All this we have done. So Centre's final argument is, in such a scenario where we have done all these things, and yet if a state keeps on recklessly borrowing, why are they recklessly borrowing? State in the Supreme Court, the center is saying that this is because they have maintained poorly targeted subsidies and they are doing unproductive expenditure. In this scenario, what happens is that the credit image of the entire country also would suffer in future. So in the note, they are saying that this, if continues, if the high borrowing keeps on continuing, what will happen is there will not be money for development funds. The condition of the people will become poorer. There will be loss of state income, and if there is a loss of state income, invariably there will be a loss of national income. So Kerala had filed this case against this. This is the version, or this is the answer given in the Supreme Court yesterday by the government. Overall, whatever be the case, please remember, I'm coming back to the article that had come on this page. I'll come to their conclusion. They are saying if this continues, there is a problem that India's federalism will soon rapidly turn from a cooperative federalism into a destructive federalism. And if there is a restrictions on the borrowings, invariably the state governments will not be able to function. And let me tell you, today's newspaper had another article where the Tamil Nadu's government led by Mr. Stalin is also saying that, see, this is not a case only with you, this is a case with us also. In that article, Mr. Stalin is saying that Tamil Nadu is facing a revenue shortfall of almost 20,000 crore compared to the pre-GST days. If you all have some idea, even the Karnataka government led by Mr. Siddaramaiah is protesting in Delhi, in Jantar Mantar, is going to protest over there, saying that, see, Karnataka is not receiving what exactly should it be receiving. So this is something, a grouse that is coming from every state. And why is this coming? Let us look at the next article to understand that. What is my next article? Union government's reins on financial transfers to the state. Please look everyone. We are talking about two very distinguished people who have written this article. One is Mr. J. Jayarajan, who is Vice Chairman of the State Planning Commission, Government of Tamil Nadu. And another is R. Srinivasan, another Member State Planning Commission, Government of Tamil Nadu. But then again, they both are very highly respected people, but then as you all can understand, they are the members of the Planning Commission of the State Government of Tamil Nadu. So you will see in this article that they will put the point of view of Tamil Nadu, or for that matter, state in this case. See, personally, I do not have any problem with any view, because ultimately we are UPSC aspirants. Take out 1 or 2 points from every article, make my every answer better. So if these people are saying that there are some problems, there are some issues when it comes to financial transfer, I will definitely read it. I will bring it out. And tomorrow, if there is any question on federalism, there is any question on how the money is being, divided between the state and the center, I would raise these issues in order to criticize the central government. But of course, today or tomorrow, I will get another article someday in the coming days where the central government will say that, see, this much we are giving and this is how they are using and they are wrong. We will take that article also. Whether it is pro, whether it is con, pick your articles, judicially use them in your mains answer. Now guys, as you can understand here, just now we read that both the Kerala as well as the Tamil Nadu, and I also talked about Karnataka government, they all are saying that, see, central government is crippling. What they are crippling? The work of the state governments. Now in this article, they say that since the start of 14th Finance Commission's period, that is from 2015-16, Union government has been consistently reducing the financial transfers to the states. So the money that has to come to the states are being reduced. Now, let me tell you one thing at the very beginning. Even though the talk is of finance commission here, the finance commissions, specifically if you talk about the 14th or the 15th finance commissions, they have been very, very generous when it comes to the states. 14th Finance Commission had said 42% of union tax revenue should come to the states. This was a jump of exact 10% from the previous Finance Commission. What is the previous one? 13th had talked about some 32%. And this trend has continued. Even the 15th Finance Commission, they recommended 41% should be there. Now, some of you will say, sir, you are saying trend is continuing, but here what we find is 42 has come down to 41. Let me assure you That is mainly because you all know that in this period, J&K was made into a union territory of J&K and Ladakh. And as they were union territories, so some money would have gone to them. Otherwise, this 41% would have invariably increased to 42%. So please understand, this trend of 42% is almost continuing in both 14th as well as 15th Finance Commission. Now, Finance Commission has given its money, but yet the states are saying that, see, there is a lesser financial transfer. So where is the money going on? What is the logic of this? They are saying union government has increased its own revenue to increase the total discretionary expenditure. This discretionary expenditure does not come to the states, and thus they are impacting the different states in different ways. This is the charge. This is the thing that they have spoken till this point. So now they have in this article given the maths that how the money and everything comes. So as you all know, Finance Commission decides the share of the state, and this share comes from net tax revenue. Now everyone, in economics you would have studied there is one net tax revenue and another is gross tax revenue. What is the difference between these two? The difference is the collection costs, the tax revenue which are given to the UTs, and the biggest difference created is cess and the surcharges. Please remember, this is the most important. So basically, always remember, gross will be higher. So if you subtract from gross collection costs, tax revenue being offered to the UTs, and the cess and surcharge, then you get the net tax revenue. Now we have already said 42 and 41% has been given by the Finance Commission, but this percentage is on net tax revenue. Now understand everyone, which is lesser? Net tax revenue is lesser. So if you calculate this based on gross tax revenue, in 2015-16, the number was 35%, which has gone down to 30% in 2023-24. That means the percentage share of the states is continuously going down if you are considering the gross tax revenue. The article also says that if you look, it's not that the number has been reduced because the state or the central government has got less money. They are saying for union government in 2015-16, the collection was 14.6 lakh crore when it comes to gross tax revenue. Bring it to 2023-24, this number jumped to 33.6. Everyone, 14.6 going to 13.6, clearly a jump of more than 2 times. Now, compare this number to what they gave to the states. In this year, state share was 5.1, and this year the state share was 10.2. All of you, I hope you can understand. The jump for the state is exactly 2 times, whereas the jump for the union government was more than, I'll write here, more than 2 times. So thus, the state governments are not getting their due. Now, all of you, you can understand, I said this is the biggest contributor. The difference between GTR and NTR mainly comes from the cess and surcharge. Now, if you look at this, 2015-16, this collection was around this many crores, almost 5.9% of the GTR. Come to 2023-24, this is 10.8%, which is almost 3.63 crore. Now the writers are saying this is excluding the GST. Now, how does it impact? I've already told you, your money is coming based on the NTR, not GTR. GTR is continuously increasing. Plus, union government keeps on increasing the cess and surcharge so as to implement their own schemes in different sector, and they do not have to share this revenue also with the state governments. Now, clearly all of you, again federalism is being challenged here. The authors are saying this clearly shows that there is more centralization of public expenditure. More and more discretionary fund is available with whom? Central government. Now guys, if central government has got more money, what will they do it? The central government will start centrally sponsored schemes, which you all know as CSS, and central sector schemes, that's your CSEC. Now what is the difference in these two? Please understand. In the centrally sponsored scheme, union government will give partial funding. Other set of funding will come from the states. So basically, states have to implement this. At the same time, also commit to their own financial resources. Now, all of you imagine. Let's say I come from a poor state. My state does not have the money. Will I get this funding? No, because I would not be able to give this sort of my own money, or my own share of the money would not be provided by me. So here, they are saying that if you look at the CSS, states that can afford these, they will implement these schemes. States which cannot implement these, the less wealthy states, they will either have to borrow finances to implement this, and thus if you borrow finances, what happens? Your liabilities are invariably going to come up. So you can understand that this leads to, a big liability on the states also. On the other hand, the central, this is fully funded by union government. And if you look at the numbers, 2015-16, 5.2 crore lakh, I would rather say 5.21 lakh crore money was sent or used by the central government. In 2023-24, this number has come to 14.68 lakh crore, which is being done on 700 schemes run by the central government at this point of time. So you can clearly see what is happening is that this article is saying again that this is leading to anti-federal fiscal policies, because whatever is said or whatever is given by Finance Commission is not being followed over here. So this is more than sufficient. Do remember a few points based on this, and this will give you a good answer for the last part. I'll give you a question on this just now. Not a very important topic, but yesterday Lok Sabha has passed an anti-cheating bill. I do not find this very important, but then do remember a bill known as Public Examinations Prevention of the Unfair Means 2024 to check malpractices and organized cheating in government recruitment exams. Because a lot of times you will hear, you people would have done so much of hard work. UPSC does not happen, but in many of the states, the exams keep on getting, I would say postponed, because suddenly it would be that paper has got leaked. So here the bill is proposing Anyone who is involved in this, 3-year imprisonment and 1 crore fine. This would curb any malpractices done in government recruitment papers. So they would try to stop the paper leaks. If there is any fake website, they also would be coming under this. So all this would be targeted. Which all people conduct these exams? UPSC, SSC, the banking exams, and of course the computer-based exams conducted by National Testing Agency. So they would be all coming under the ambit of this particular law. Moving ahead, very, very old article. I just want you to remember that this particular article, where the Naga organizations are asking the Meitei and the Kuki-Zo communities to keep them out of the conflict. All these three are 3 major communities of this area. That is Manipur, Meitei, Naga and Kuki-Zo. And the Nagas are saying we are not going to take any side as far as this is concerned. Why are they saying that? Because from May 3rd, this fight between the Meiteis and the Kuki-Zos have been going on in Manipur, and the Nagas have been facing the brunt right from May 24, when some women, Naga women, were attacked by a mob. Similarly, there have been instances like churches have been burnt. All this is happening, and they are now saying if this continues to happen, we will be forced to move out of the Imphal Valley. So the apex body of the Nagas, they are also saying that we are not happy with the fact that Meitei legislatures, they had met the radical groups on January 24. There is a fort called Kangla Fort, and there the Meitei legislators had met the radicals, which were a group called Arambai Tengol. So the Nagas are saying that you should not have met them. These are radical people, and this, by doing this, you have basically disrespected the I would say the mandate that has been given to you people. Please go through it. Not very important in the sense that not very new things will come. Those who are new in preparation, they would get certain facts here. Last but not the least, for prelims, one fact. Some more tribes have been added under the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Which are these? For prelims, do remember, from Odisha, Pori Bhuan and Podi Bhuan, who are the synonyms of Bhuan tribe. Similarly, Chuktiya Bhunjia is a synonym of Bhunjia tribe, Bondo as a sub-tribe of Bondo Poraja tribe. Please remember, these tribes come from Odisha. And from Andhra, there is a tribe known as Bondo Porja, Khond Porja, which are synonymous to Porja tribe. So, for prelims, we should remember that these are certain tribes coming from these area, Odisha and Andhra. Which law it is? Basically, Constitution, Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2024, which has been passed. There's, further name is also there, and, for SC also it would be Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2024. So under this, no need to remember the law's name. The constitution, or the government has brought the law adding these communities in this. Now I have to only tell you about this particular one point and this second point. Rest, this is fact which you have to remember. First of all, what is a PVTG? Earlier known as Primitive Tribal Group. PVTG is Particularly Vulnerable Tribal Group. Now this is a sub-classification of the scheduled tribe, or they are a section of scheduled tribes. Presently, they are in around 18 states and 1 union territory. Now, why have they been put under a different category? Because it was felt that their living standards were further, at a disadvantage compared to the other tribal groups also. And this all classification started because of Debar Commission, which was giving its report around this period of time, and they said that within ST community also there is an inequality, and that's why certain ST communities who are having not the same level, they should be considered under the PTG. PTG means primitive tribal group, and from there onwards, that is fourth planning, that is fourth 5-year plan. Fourth 5-year plan, this PTG group or the primitive tribal group was added, and from there onwards this number has kept on increasing. Every plan has added a few, and this has happened, and this has come to this number. Last 2 mains question. Indian education system is facing many challenges from different quarters. Critically analyze. This is a 150-word answer that is expected out of you. And federal structure of India is cooperative as well as confrontationist. Comment 250-word answer. Please do write these answers, and in the comment section, do tell us how did you like the session. Do subscribe, like the session, and again we'll meet tomorrow with another set of articles. That's all for this lecture. Goodbye. Thank you.